Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is my friend Michelle. She is a transformational breakthrough coach for women. You can only take people as far as you have gone yourself. This is a quote that Michelle loves. She has heard this over and over again in the coaching world and truly believes it. As a personal growth junkie and an avid supporter of women rising to their fullest, juiciest, boldest potential, she walks the walk and talks the talk. Many years as a therapist on the front lines of mental health has taught her the beauty of resilience, the power of connection, and the value of sharing our stories. Her experience as a theater director, actor, and drama therapist, there's a lot of has taught me that talking often is not enough, that we have to engage with our stories, notice what is happening in our bodies, and learn to articulate to others our experiences. She has been a trauma specialist for over 15 years, and when you feel hijacked by fear, it can be extremely difficult to step outside your comfort zone, which is exactly what we need to do to grow and to feel a sense of fulfillment. She provides women a safe space and the tools to break through their own limiting beliefs, and they can live a life out loud and on purpose. Thank you so much for joining us, Michelle. I'm so excited to have people share your personal story and give us your tools and tips that you can do in the next half an hour. So thank you so much for taking time to be with us.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. So something really fun I like to do to just kind of get people to get to know you a little bit more is ask something that's interesting about you that we really wouldn't know unless we got to know you a little bit on a personal level. So tell us an interesting fact about you and your life.
Okay, so post-divorce, about 10 years ago or so, I joined a roller derby league, and I really got into it. It was kind of like my midlife crisis move. I was so excited by the movie Whip It, and so I went to a new fresh meat, they call it, a fresh meat night. And because I'd been a skater, since I was a kid, they immediately were like, "Oh, you need to go watch those ladies over there." So I ended up joining the team, and my roller derby name was Irish Whipski. So that's something that many people don't know about me.
Yeah, roller derby is fearless. You have to be fearless to try, even consider roller derby.
Yes, and it definitely pushed some fear buttons. I mean, I saw people get pretty severely injured at times, and getting up there and just being able to be with my fear was a great. It was a great time in my life to be able to do that, for sure. It was definitely divinely guided for me to do roller derby at that particular point in my life.
Yeah. So I've watched a roller derby bout. Is that what it's called? A bout?
Yes, a bout.
A bout. Yeah. So I went and watched one of my clients do a roller derby tournament, and she's so tiny. It was so interesting to see, like, any level of woman can like get out there and do it. You really just have to get past the mental fear of like getting pushed over. I mean, you have knee pads on and helmets and stuff, but it's the mentality of, someone's going to push you around. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
And I also love that it's a sport that really embraces any body type.
Right.
If they're thin and small, then you can be a jammer and squeeze right through people. If you're like me, you can be a really solid blocker and keep people from getting past. And, so I loved that you saw women of all sizes, and they were all athletes, because they worked our tails off. I mean, we really had to work hard, 2 hours, 3 days a week, of just push, so these women are incredible. Yeah, it was really fun.
That's super fun. I love those little things. Irish Whipski. I like that. That's super fun. So I'm assuming that you are Irish.
I am.
Fun. I like that. So how long did you do roller derby? I'm curious.
I only did it for about a year and a half. I ended up,
Yeah.
I have some issues with my shins. I have compartment syndrome. So unfortunately, my very favorite exercise I cannot do anymore. So I've had
Mhm.
to find some other ways to, stay
Yeah.
in my body. And yeah,
That's so fun though that you got to experience that for like a year and a half
it was
though.
great. It was
Something
great.
so fun that not a lot of people can say that they've done. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so when fear is holding us down and um we're in that mental state of, the fear and getting stuck there. So how do you feel about being in that space and like mentally, where are you when that happens?
So I kind of feel like there's like pre and post.
Yeah,
So when I was most in my fear, it showed up everywhere. It showed up in how boldly I interacted in my world. It showed up in my body and needing to kind of protect myself with my weight. It showed up in just missed opportunities and a
yeah,
lot of procrastination and a lot of avoidance of things that made me uncomfortable. Um, I didn't start off as a fearful person. I was one of those kind of wild children who, was climbing every tree. And in fact, there was a story that my parents told me where there were police officers on the front lawn of our house because I decided to take my baby brother for a walk when I was about 4 or 5.
oh
And
no,
4 hours later showed up because I decided to stop at the babysitter's house and watch a movie.
oh no,
So yeah, I was like Little Miss Independence. My parents would play games where they would wait to see how long it took me to realize they weren't behind me anymore, and I'd look around and be like, "Oh, they'll find me," and I would just keep on going.
wow,
So I was naturally a pretty bold kid,
yeah,
and then I had a series of events happen in my life that slowly kind of started to shut that down. And
yeah,
the first event was that I was molested when I was 5 years old by a babysitter, by that same babysitter.
oh no,
And so I knew something was not okay with that, and because of that, it created a ton of fear, like fear of other kids, fear of exposure, fear of being visible. I started to shut down, get really small, get really, I didn't really talk a lot.
yeah,
Um, and there were a lot of other things going on in my life at the same time that just really caused this shutting down process. And then throughout my life, I found myself repeatedly in situations where those very qualities in me that were kind of like the wild qualities were shut down in some way. So if I was, kind of in my body and sexy, then, I would get comments from other women that kind of shut that down, or I would get assumptions from men that
yeah,
would shut that down. And, being kind of a bold person, a person who I'm a truth teller. That's how I've been all my life.
yeah,
And so being a truth teller in my family was not safe. If I told the truth about things that were going on in my own family, then we don't air our dirty laundry. That's just not what we do.
yeah,
So it was like every avenue. It was like something was trying to break free from me, to just be me and to speak my truth. And all along the way, that just continued to kind of get shut down. So in my fear space, like I said, it was a lot of just avoidance.
yeah,
um, it got to the point where I didn't even want to go up to someone and ask a question in the supermarket or pick up the phone and make phone calls, like I've heard some of the other women talk about. It was just,
yeah,
just this like shrinking, and I could feel it in my body, a lot of tension in my body, tension in my shoulders and all of that.
yeah,
Um, so I got into a marriage that just reinforced all of that.
okay,
He kind of initially was in love with my wild, and then that became not okay anymore. And so that same process happened, and he ended up, you know, having a major health crisis that kind of shook some things up for him. And our relationship got really bad. It got
yeah,
really destructive and really, kind of exacerbated that fear. And finally, I just got to a point where, some I was afraid, I'm stubborn. So I kind of took
You mentioned you were Irish.
Exactly, because I'm Irish. It took like this major like header in order for me to really wake up and recognize that this is not me. Like I became a person that I did not like. And I realized that I had lost myself. I didn't even know where I went. So we got divorced and my life started all over again. And I was constantly pushing myself through fears because it was all fear, everything was fear. Doing the roller derby, created a ton of fear. I had no friends. I'd been totally isolated for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, I had no connections. Getting out there in a public way and trying to connect with people was terrifying.
Right.
Going back to school and learning and being in all these new environments, but there was also something thrilling about it. And I think that the roller derby really helped me understand that about myself, that the fear, I heard somewhere on a podcast recently, and I was like, oh, I like that. Fear is excitement with the brakes on, is what someone said. And I loved that because it was like, yes, and in the brain, your brain doesn't know the difference between anxiety and excitement.
Yeah,
It
the
lights
same.
up the same parts of the brain, right? So it doesn't understand the difference. The only thing that makes a difference is what I'm thinking about the situation, and what I tell myself is possible in the situation. So what I noticed was this transition from this kind of closed off, really tense kind of way of being, to opening myself back up again and risking being hurt, risking being rejected, risking people not liking the fact that I'm a truth teller, and that, sorry, I have tons of love and compassion, and I'm pretty good at couching it in a way that people can hear it, but I'm a truth teller, and some people love that about me and some people cannot stand that about me. And I'm finally at a point in my life where I am so okay with that. Like, I am so okay that some people are going to be like, oh, that's too much. Well, I embrace my too muchness. Gina Hatzis, her Too Much Woman movement has just been like, yes, girlfriend, go for it, because that's totally how I feel.
Yeah.
So there's a liberation. The opposite, the other side, is this liberation, this excitement, this, rather than projecting worry into the future, projecting excitement into the future. Like, oh, I wonder what's next. I wonder what's going to happen next. This is super exciting. And it's not that I don't have floods of that fear and anxiety that come through me, but I've learned to talk with them.
Right. Like, why are you afraid?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you trying to tell me? What is going on here? And okay, well, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. And I'm letting you know that I'm okay. I'm strong enough to push through that. It'll be all right. So, it's there. And I heard another woman on your podcast mention that too. It's like, it's not that it goes away.
Right.
It's that you start to look forward to it. You start to go, oh, this is masking a desire that I have, my fear.
Yep.
Fear is putting the brakes on something I really, really want. So what do I really, really want? Yeah. And how do I focus on that piece rather than the fear?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was Susie. She had said, those fears are there because they protect us from something at some point, and they served us at some point. But if it doesn't serve you anymore, you just you table it and you say, okay, it's there. I see it. I don't need it.
Exactly.
And you move on. And yeah, like you said before too, like, it's a ripple effect with the things that started us out at young ages of how we look at fear, right? Like, one thing happens and then another thing happens, and it's the ripple effect as we're growing and learning what those fears are like. And then as we grow past them and see them from the other side, it's, figuring out exactly how to move forward. So with, when we have the break free of the fear, like you have, and you move into a new direction, we always have relationships that shift and come and go. And how did this go for you with, the roller derby and like getting through all of your fears? Like you said, your family's not someone that wants to hear about the truth. And I'm with you. I'm a truth teller. I've always been told I'm very blunt and very bold. And
Right.
my friends say they want to be more like that. But a lot of times I get people that don't get it. Like, you're just so honest. Like, I'm very honest. And
Yeah.
I like that you say it's a truth teller, because I'm going to adopt that. I am a truth teller, and that's exactly it. So tell us, like, relationship wise, with friends, family, how has that shifted for you with, coming out of yourself and opening back up?
Yeah. Well, the interesting dynamic is that a lot of that belief that I had that my family didn't want to hear the truth was both half true and half not true.
Yeah.
So when we're kids, we're kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have the life knowledge, we don't have the wider lens, and so when an adult or an authority figure tells us something, like, that sinks in deep.
Yeah.
And so knowing that I couldn't talk about certain things in my family sunk in deep, and I just kind of held that as a truth. The reality was, as I got bolder within myself and kind of reclaimed that for myself, my family loves that I'm a truth teller. They're very proud of the fact that I'm a truth teller. My mom, like, cries half the time when she sees some of the things that I'm doing, because she's like, I can't believe you. Like, I can't believe
Aw.
that you do these things.
Yeah.
So that's part of fear is really, how do I check out the facts of my own fear?
Yeah.
And do I have the boldness to go ask people that I think this way if that's accurate
Yeah.
or not?
Right. We tell ourselves those stories, and sometimes
Right.
it's to keep us in the fear.
Right. And so that was huge, that my family actually was completely the opposite and was like, we
Okay.
love the fact that you are so honest and open.
Yeah.
Now, I had a really good friend that, had been my friend for 15 years. And as I got, because I'd always been I'm a caretaker, like many of us, and I'd always kind of placated other people and maybe held back on my own truth because I could see that they were in need. But I tended to also pull people who were in need to me. And so most of the people that I knew were in need, and greater need than I was. And so there was
Yeah.
never really room or space for me to be able to share my truth. And so when I
Yeah.
finally got to a point, after all of this happened with my ex-husband, with my best friend, where, I really needed to speak my truth about some things, it was messy. I didn't do it in a way that was very grounded and very rooted in my confidence and in my truth.
Yeah.
And so that process of learning how to be a truth teller, but still read, and know when to say, okay, I'm reading that you're not ready to hear it, and I still need to say it. Because this is my truth, and I deserve this space to be able to be my truthful self. That was, it was messy for a while as I figured that out, and so I lost my best friend of 15 years
Wow.
during that process, and that was really, really heartbreaking for me, because she, we had kind of been each other's backup for so long. And there were other people, who just kind of dropped off the radar because I was not in the same place as them.
Yeah.
And I really needed to kind of focus on rebuilding myself. And I had to be a little bit selfish sometimes, because I had spent so much time not being connected to myself that
Right.
it took a lot of energy and effort and digging. And like I said, self-help junkie. Like, I did everything under the sun, to get back to myself.
Yeah.
And women's circles were really the biggest catalyst. I mean, I know everything is like a domino effect, right? So
Right.
I'd done my trauma work. I'd been in therapy. I'd, done a lot on my own. But stepping into a women's circle, because I had so many issues with my femininity and with
Yeah.
women in general, was probably the biggest catalyst for me to learn that my truth telling is valuable, that my boldness is seen and valued, that in my messiness, I can still be held by women who are strong themselves. So what I didn't know was that there are whole groups of incredibly strong empathic, amazing women that I did not know existed because I was always so focused on being the savior and the helper. And once I became my own savior and helper, I found myself craving being in circles of women
Yeah.
who knew themselves, who knew how to hold space for some dark stuff, you know, and not flinch and let me be there, let me be present with my feelings and whatever was going on in my life. And that was absolutely life-changing.
Yeah.
And so now, you know, I seek those women out all the time. You know, it's like,
Yeah. That's the other junky part, you know, finding
exactly.
like-minded
It's like,
people, like-minded women that are just as strong and that, like
yeah,
you said, hold the space for you too.
yeah. And it's like breathing for us.
Yeah.
For women, we must be in community. It's
Yeah.
just a given. And we don't have a culture that supports that in a lot of healthy ways. You know, it's like, oh, let's
Yeah.
go drink together, oh, let's go to the bar together, let's go, you know. And I love seeing just other fun ways that women can come together to just be
Yeah.
themselves, you know. And um, yeah, so
Absolutely. So I'm curious. Okay, so you're past your fear, you know how to like manage it. You've done your therapy, you've done the steps to get where you are. So what actually compelled you to jump ship from, you know, living in that fear? I know with your divorce and that breaking point, was there something specific that really just helped you like jump ship from all of it that you were like, nope, this is it, the last straw? Is there anything specific that you want to touch on?
um, so you know, it's a back and forth of like, you know, I'm a truth teller, and so I have to speak my truth, and someone else's perspective of my story may be very different, and I'm
Right.
at my life where I'm okay with that. um, the catalyst that it really took for me, because I am so hard-headed and stubborn, was that it was a threat to my life. And
Yeah.
when I had that moment of all of this could go away, and what have I done with my life that feels good? What is it that I've always wanted to do with my life that I haven't stepped forward into doing?
Yeah.
Would I be okay if I died today? And I wasn't.
Right.
I mean, it rocked my world to even have that question be a part of my life. And so that really was what it took, unfortunately, for me to shake loose all of these chains that were keeping me small and keeping me believing that there was something wrong with me. You
Right.
know, that being me was somehow wrong, and that I was going to hurt people by just being me.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for probably about 3 years, it was just this constant like peeling away at all of these illusions about myself, and really having to come to terms with how I created the life that I had, and grieving that, you know,
Yeah.
grieving the fact that I had made all of those choices. No one forced me to make any of those choices. They were all mine. And to be able to come to a place of non-judgmental acceptance of the fact that I had made those choices. And some of them were directed by my trauma experiences and all of that, but I had to 100% come clean and own the fact that this was a life that I created for myself.
Right.
And so I needed to start over again. I needed to redo. I needed to rewind and redo, and figure it all out. I mean, I looked around my house after that, you know, and I thought, oh my God, I don't like anything in this house. I don't like what's on the walls. I don't like. I mean, it was just like I had to finally figure out what the heck I even like. Like, what
Yeah.
colors do I like? What would I put on my walls if I had that choice? And then all of those fears that would come up of, oh gosh, you know, I don't want people to know that about me. That I'm kind of a little bit woo woo, and I'm kind of a little bit that, and you know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
this whole process of like, oh my God, fear has ruled my life.
Right.
And so that big catalyst, along with these smaller catalysts along the way, really just help me. Okay, you know, I have one life to live, and how do I want to live it? You know,
Right.
that's really kind of what it broke down to.
Yeah. So, how long ago was that?
That was in, let's see, 2009.
Okay.
So almost 10 years ago.
Woo woo. Love
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, okay, so what advice would you give the women that are listening in that are like ready to jump ship from their fears and
Yeah.
they're ready to take hold of their lives and step into who they actually are? What advice would you give them for starting to overcome that fear and moving forward?
Yeah. Um, oh, there's so many things. So I would say the first step is to really get familiar and close to your fear. And that means having a conversation with it, journaling, um, you know, imagining that your fear is in a chair in front of you and talking to it, like whatever works for you, um, to really understand your fear. Like, what is it that you are actually afraid of?
Yeah.
And the questions I like to ask myself are like, well, I'm afraid of, I don't know, let's say I'm afraid of doing a podcast or a vlog.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I did a vlog and that would mean, and I was fearful, that would mean, I would get tongue tied and I'd screw it up, and that would mean, I'm a loser and I'm incapable. Okay, and that would mean that nobody loves me. Oh crap, there's one of my core beliefs. Nobody loves me. And so this spiraling circle of, and that would mean, and that would mean, and that would mean, actually helps us get down to some of our very core negative beliefs,
Okay.
that are all pretty much based in fear.
Right.
Um, and that's a really helpful process. My biggest advice or suggestion or recommendation is to find community. You must find community. We cannot do this on our own. I mean, we can do
Yeah.
some of it on our own. I did a lot of it on my own. I
Right.
really did. But holy moly, the process when I met these women and got into this women's group, like 10 years of therapy, in a 6-month period of time where we only met once a month. I mean, that's the rapid nature of change when you are being
Yeah.
witnessed by multiple people and held by multiple people, and when you see that you are not the only one who is experiencing those fears. I cannot say enough about that. And even if you're in a rural area, there are online circles.
Yep.
There's so much out there now that there has never been. And you need, to find people who can hold deep stuff, because this is deep stuff. It's important stuff. It's vulnerable stuff, and it's not realistic to, like, okay, I'm gonna walk in and I'm gonna expose it all, and I mean, sure, I guess you could do that, but what you're really doing is you're ripping away a core defense mechanism, and then you're gonna have to find something to replace it with, and most of the time it's another not so great defense mechanism that gets
Right.
locked back into place. So the more slowly you can kind of chip away at those defense mechanisms by being with other people, um, it's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge, because then you also can be held accountable when you're using one of those coping mechanisms, and someone can gently remind you or point out, you're doing that thing that you do when you're afraid. And
Yeah.
I'm here and it's okay. And I want to encourage you to just speak through it. And I'll still be here on the other side. Sometimes we just have these crazy beliefs that people don't want to hear or wouldn't be able to handle the things that really scare us about ourselves or that we don't like. And the reality is that the level of relief that you feel when you can speak those shadow parts, when you can speak, you know what, I'm selfish.
Yeah.
You know what, I'm messy.
Yeah.
I'm a trauma survivor. Like when you can
Yep.
speak those things that you think people are going to freak out about, like, I pick my nose. It's like people go, "Oh yeah, I do too," or they're like, "Okay, well that's not so bad." I had one woman. Oh my goodness, she was shaking because she had slapped her child, and that was the worst possible thing she could ever utter to another human being, that she had gotten so upset with her child that she had reached out and slapped him.
Yeah.
And what she saw when she looked around the room was empathy. Do we think that that was a great thing for her to do? No, actually not, you know. But in that particular space, because of what we had set up as safe for people to reveal about themselves, when she looked around and saw tears in our eyes but did not see judgment, she was able to release a chunk of shame that she had carried on her shoulders for so long. And this had happened, like, her child was an adult at the time. Like, this
Oh, wow.
was something she had carried for like 20 plus years.
Wow. Yeah.
And being able to say that, it was like, whoosh, it just like fizzled off into the universe. And she didn't have that burden anymore, you know,
Right.
and was able to accept that about herself, that she made that choice, and it was an awful choice, and she felt terrible about it, you know, and it was probably damaging to her child, you know,
Yeah.
and all of those things are true. And
Right.
she's also an amazing, beautiful human being, and that's also true. And
Yeah.
so there is this element of both and yes and. Yes, I have made some stupid choices, and right now I'm making a conscious decision not to make those choices, and I'm moving
Yeah.
forward with my life, or whatever it is. So yes, and for me, the kind of improv phrase has been another pivotal thing actually for me,
Okay.
in just learning how to accept fear. And now what? You know, yes, I'm terrified, and this is what I'm going to do about it. Or yes, I'm
Yeah.
terrified, and there's a throw up bucket right before I get on stage, and I may have to use it.
Yep.
And you know, like, and I've got a Kleenex, and I'll wipe myself off, and I'll go on and we'll do my thing. You know, there's just this acceptance
Yeah.
is key to any real change in movement, is just accepting where you are, what you've done, what you're afraid of, and saying, okay, there it is, and I'm still me, and I'm
Yeah.
still amazing, and I can have both, you know, and I can be in choice from this point forward, and that's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. And like you said, the community part of it, with being with other people that can hold that space for you, it's
Yeah.
the energy.
Oh, it's
It really is the energy that you feel, like you said, that she locked eyes with other people, that it was empathy, and that's the energy of all of it put together. So 100%. And the fact that it's letting it go, just being able to say it out loud, letting it go. I saw something, or I heard somewhere, fun facts from somewhere in the world, that writing yourself a thank you card. You know what? I feel like it was the founder of Polka Dot Powerhouse. I feel like it was Shannon Crotty.
It
Writing a
might have been.
thank you note to yourself every
Yeah.
day, and then being able to sit down on those hard days and sit down and read the thank yous to yourself, like what you wrote to yourself on those times that you needed to say thank you to yourself, and then just having them all for you to read whenever you need them. So kind of like an affirmation, but a thank you to yourself for doing whatever you did that day that maybe scared you or helped
Yeah.
you step out of your comfort zone. And
And it was Shannon.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, it
cool.
was.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing about fear too, so, and this is true for any really strong emotion, anger, anything, when your body is completely relaxed. So if you were to lay on the floor when you're feeling fear or anger or any really strong emotion,
Yeah,
you can't be relaxed and angry at the same time, and you can't be relaxed and fearful at the same time, because what happens is your body starts to respond, right? And so if I have no choice but to be completely 100% relaxed, eyes closed, hands, you know, open, body open, as soon as I start feeling fear, something is going to happen in my body. And then I have to breathe and release it. And there's just something really cool about that, you know, that I cannot be fearful, angry, upset when I am 100% relaxed. And it
yeah,
sounds silly, but it's totally true. And the other one for me personally around fear, I do a lot of intention setting, a
okay,
lot of intention
yeah,
setting. So knowing I'm going to go into a stressful situation, and just, you know, who do I want to be in that situation? This is from Stacy Cohen. she actually learned this from Gabby Bernstein. She did Spirit Junkie Weekend with Gabby Bernstein, and this is one of the ones that she shared with me, and I love it, freaking love it, and I use it all the time.
Cool.
It's, who do you want to be today? So I want to be someone who's confident. I want to be someone who's able to push, see my fear and be able to move right on through it. I want to be a person who has lots of energy and is really passionate about everything that I do. So who do you want to be today? What do you want to feel? I want to feel totally relaxed. I want to feel juicy energy flowing through me. I want to feel excited and joyful. And then what do I want to give? So I want to, give my love. I want to give my unconditional positive regard and total acceptance of people. I want to give my time and energy to my children. And then what do I want to receive? And I want to receive, I want to receive financial abundance. I want to receive a knowing glance from my husband and, an invitation. I want to receive, guidance. I want to receive whatever, and again, that helps to kind of burn away fear. Because fear is energy. All emotion is energy in motion. It's energy in motion, every single feeling that we have.
Yeah.
And so they don't just go away. They have to transform and become something else.
Yep.
And so if I know that, then I can choose what I want my fear to become. I want my fear to become excitement. I want my fear to become passion. I want my fear to become, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's a very powerful thing. This is how I want to feel. And to keep reinforcing that for ourselves so that, the fear doesn't really have any room to kind of come in. I want to feel this way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. The setting the intention part. I'm going to go back and write notes on everything you just said about those questions to ask yourself. So is it that you ask yourself those every day before you start your day, or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that you could be flexible with it, just like any intention setting. I try to do it during the day, but sometimes I forget in the morning, or I have a different particular kind of intention setting activity that I want to focus on.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll do it before a situation that I may be nervous about, or before a confrontation that I know is going to happen with someone. To just, who do I actually did that. I thought there was going to be a confrontation with someone, and I don't know how much of it was because I chose to do this practice that it didn't happen, because I came in a very different way, but who do I want to be in this situation? I don't want to be mean. I want to be open-hearted and understanding of this person's perspective, even if I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
That's who I want to be. And I want to feel relaxed and connected to myself so that I can actually speak my truth and not come from a place of reactivity.
Right.
What do I want to give? I want to give space for the person to be able to share what they need to share. And what do I want to receive? I want to receive respectful communication from this other person. So something as simple as that, is it 100% guaranteed that that's how it's going to show up? I can't say that, but I can say it certainly works for me because I come in differently.
Yeah.
Just like anybody, we read energy, right? And if I come in like this, the person's going to feel that before I ever open my mouth or say anything. But if I come in and I'm relaxed and I'm open, there's something that can shift, in that interaction that I've found to be really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think it's a great thing to tell people right before the holidays, because going into the holidays, you get around a lot of family members who are not on the same level as you, and it's frustrating a lot. And being able to make the mindset shift of, how you're coming into the situation, how you're coming into the conversations. I used to have to do that before seeing some family members, because it was always very agitating to be around them because it was negative and all these things. So I was naturally doing that, but now being able to say those specific things of what I want, that's really awesome to be able to put that specifically in place. So thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
course. I mean, it's big. It's really big.
Yeah, I think
We
it would
can't
be
change
super helpful.
them, but I can totally change how I come into the situation, and what I'm looking for and what my focus is on.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I love asking people. I'm a big life dreamer. I always am thinking about the future. So, with the progression that you've made in the last, 10 years, where do you see yourself in the next 5 with,
Mm,
living your life fearlessly and being able to get through those things, with the process that you've been working through?
yeah. So, in 5 years, I want to feel totally excited and passionate and connected. And the way that I see that showing up is by doing more talks. I really want to do motivational speaking. It's with my theater background and the different things that I've experienced in my life. And
Yeah.
the fact that, as you said at the very beginning, you can only take people as far as you've gone yourself.
Yeah.
I've done the work, and I walk my talk. And when I run up against something, because I always will, I'm a human being, I take the efforts to look at it and to do something with it. And I really want to be able to teach other people how to be able to do that. And so I see myself doing presentations and workshops and being a motivational speaker. I have a book that I'm working on that I'm really excited about, and it's going to take me pushing myself through fears related to making money so that I have the time and energy to dedicate toward you
Yeah.
know writing a book. Um, so yeah, I see myself really feeling good about my relationship with money, and feeling strongly that this is simply an energy exchange, and I give lots of my energy to everything that I do, and therefore I deserve lots of that energy coming back to me.
Yeah.
And I yeah, I think those are the biggest pieces, and more of an online, kind of presence. That's been an edge that I'm starting to push for myself, is just being more visible and being online, and really kind of being bolder in
Yeah.
how I show up online. Um, so that's definitely something that is happening and will continue to grow in
Yeah.
the next 5 years. And yeah, I just see lots of juiciness, lots of excitement, lots of passion, lots of connection. Oh my goodness, Polka Dot Powerhouse has been incredible for me to just connect with other
Yeah.
women, and I'm loving it. It's just so easy and so fun, coffee or Zoom or whatever, and it feeds me, and it
Yeah.
reminds me of why I want to keep doing the work that I do. And so I see lots of connection in the next 5 years, lots of collaboration, um, yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. I want you to tell everyone, where can they find you? Because like you said, you want a bigger presence online, and you're already
Yeah.
doing it right now. You're doing a vlog right now. So yay, stepping out a
Yay.
little bit more bold. That's fun. So with being online, where is a good place for people to connect with you?
Sure.
And yeah,
So I have a Facebook page called Feminine Rising Revolution. So it's revolution, but the R and the E are capitalized. And the reason for that is because I feel like we're kind of in a process of re-evolving. So coming back to women being in their power and recreating balance in our world. And so Feminine Rising Revolution
cool.
is a page, and then there's also a community group that I ask people to, answer a couple questions before they come in, just to make sure it's a good fit for them. My website is the same, femininerisingrevolution.com. Um, and yeah, I'm focused mostly on the coaching piece right now because I've been a therapist for so long, and so I'm not doing as much promoting about that side of what I
Yeah.
do. And so those are probably the best place. And Instagram, I think in Instagram it's Michelle.Hardeman Guptill is
Okay.
my handle there. And Pinterest. It's Feminine Rising Revolution. So yeah, I'm
Ooh,
just kind
fun. You can find her anywhere.
of.
I love Pinterest.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
fun.
yeah. Well, okay. Is there any closing thoughts that you wanted to tell anyone?
I think just the biggest thing is just that we are so good at getting in our own way. We are so good at helping others and being present for others and serving others. And the reality is that whole metaphor, you know, in the airplane of like when the oxygen mask drops down, who are you supposed to put it on first? You're supposed to put it on you.
Yeah.
Because then you have the energy to be able to support and help others. And we as women have kind of been trained in this backwards way that we're supposed to give and give and give and give and give, but we can't do that from an empty cup.
Yeah.
In fact, we're doing a disservice because we're not giving 100%. We're not present with our giving. We're often resentful of that giving, or we're depleted. And our family members love to see us healthy. They love to see us thriving and excited. Like my husband, he's just incredible that way. Like when he sees me happy, he's just like, oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you. You know, your cup is full. That's amazing. Because he knows that when my cup is full, it's going to overflow in his direction.
Right.
Right. And so it's huge. We have to fill our own cup. It's not selfish, you know, it's necessary.
It's self-love. It's not selfish. It's self-love.
Absolutely. Exactly. It's self-love. And we have to do that to be the most effective people in service that we can be.
100%.
And sometimes that means that we have to do some dirty work. And we really have to take a look at what is underneath these fears that keep us small, what is underneath the things that keep us in the role of savior rather than kind of in the role of savior to ourselves, you know, being self-love. And that's difficult work. You know, it's not the sexiest thing in the world to, you know, to do the work on some of these core beliefs that we came up with when we were little, based on, you know, whether it's a trauma or just a scary event or just an impactful event, you know. I think it's really important that we take care of ourselves in every way that we possibly can, so that we can give from a place of groundedness and fullness.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I love that. That's awesome. I'm going to end it with that. So I want to thank you, Michelle, again for your time, sharing all your insights and your tools and tips. I got a lot of information from you. So I know that the viewers are going to love this. And again, thank you guys for watching. Love yourself and live fearlessly.
Yes.
Thank you.